Don't you hesitate.
All right, everybody, welcome back to yet another episode of
Breakfast with the Bullocks.
Now, we got another good one for y'all here today. Well, I think it's good. You think it's good? Interracial marriage.
Oh, and yeah, I'm really excited. This is the episode I was most excited about.
And it's good that you wore your shirt, repping part of your heritage, as you should, as we all should be very proud of where we come from. So tell us a little bit more about where you come from, where your people come from.
Well, my people, my mom was born in Puerto Rico. She grew up in New York, mostly in Brooklyn, where we live now, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And my father was born, I think, in New Jersey. And when he listens to this, he's gonna tell me for sure. I always forget.
He gonna be tired.
So yeah, I'm white on my father's side. A big mixture of Irish, German, French. There's really a lot going on that side, and then Puerto Rican on my mom's side. But you know, there's a big mix there too: Taino, Spanish, Black. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your background?
Well, my background, man, you know, I'm African American, and I take a lot of pride in that. Yes, Jada, you are African American as well, and all these other great things have helped you become the beautiful mixture that you will be.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, African American, and very, very proud of my heritage. All the people here, you know, in the States who from slavery, we all know about that, what that did, but all the people who, even through slavery and segregation and discrimination and things that we still facing today, powering on through, man. So that's my heritage, you know. People working hard and trying to be the best they can be, even though sometimes it seems like the system is against you, you know. That's my heritage. I'm very, very proud.
Very well said. We're going to talk about interracial marriage, right? Before we got married, did you have any thoughts, or did you ever wonder, like, is this going to be a little bit different living, you know, with a Puerto Rican and white woman? How that may have been different from maybe being married to a black woman?
Actually, I never quite thought about it because, you know, there was a time in my life where I was like, wasn't focused on, you know, even thinking about a wife in general, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, that kind of stuff. I was always just, you know, thinking about just living life, you know what I'm saying? And that things would come my way, which it did. So I don't think I had a thought either way about it, you know? So I didn't expect it, you know, but definitely glad that it's happening. But I never would have thought either way that I could get a wife who may be a different race from me, or I could get a wife that was the same race as me. It didn't even come up in my head. So, how about you, though? Was that something that was on your mind?
Well, I'm not going to lie. I had a talk with God, and I said, God, I'd like a black man who could sing and hopefully has a little bit of sense of humor and he's kind. And then I kind of retracted. I said, is that like too specific, God? Like, you know what? Let me not be picky. Because, you know, sometimes we have specific ideas of who we're going to be with. And I know some people who have long lists. They need to be like this, and this. And I wasn't trying to do all that. So I was wondering, maybe my list is a little too specific, but I think it was just specific enough because they brought me you.
Wow. You asked God that?
Yes.
He answers prayers.
And so much more.
Oh, man. Well, you know, what's some of the more, girl? I'm just kidding. You don't got to answer that.
I would.
Nah,
I would.
You don't have to. So what do you feel are some changes that took place in your life in any kind of way being married to a black man?
Well, before even being married to a black man, just being married in general, I was very nervous because we got married before we moved in together. So I was nervous about, okay, like, we seem to match on the way we are and the way we kind of live. But I was nervous, like, okay, is this going to be something that could tear us apart? So I was nervous about that. But it ended up being all right. There's definitely some things I think that we both do that kind of get on each other's nerves a little bit here and there. But for the most part, like, we have very similar, like, living styles, I think, like patterns. And we're pretty good at balancing, taking care of baby J and the apartment and everything. So, but when it comes to being married to a black man, yeah, papa. I mean, there's a few things, that I guess I didn't really think about so much. Like, even something as small as, like, what TV shows and movies we would be watching. I definitely watched shows and movies with black cast, but I guess I didn't realize how much more TV shows and movies I watch with white cast. So, these days we watch a lot more diverse shows.
All American.
Well, All American, I got you into.
Girl,
I got you. No, listen. Teen dramas are my ish. Okay, I am a teen drama fan. Ever since I was a teenager, I don't know. I got stuck in that mindset or something. I love me teen dramas. So I remember I started watching this show. He said, "Oh, you watching another teen drama?" And then yes, it is. And then you started watching with me. You're like, "Oh, we're gonna watch another episode." And yeah, I got you hooked on All American. That was all me.
First of all, I was like, it's this new show that Tay Diggs is gonna be on.
No,
and it's about football.
No. It wasn't a new show because this whole season was already out on TV, and then they put it on Netflix. So it wasn't a new show. It was an old show at that point because they had a whole season out already. I remember
telling you about it, Schnookums.
Whether you told me or not, you weren't watching it.
I was telling you about that.
Whatever. I don't believe it. I don't remember that.
On Channel 11. CW.
What? No. No.
But anyway,
you're making that up.
I'm telling you, that's exactly what happened.
That's not what happened. Anyway, coming back to my point. But yeah, I would have watched that show definitely, regardless. But yeah, we watch like a lot more things that I wouldn't necessarily watch, but that doesn't just go for like, shows and movies with a black cast. That goes for like different genres too. But that's one thing. And then another thing has definitely been a lot of uncertainty on how I can support you. Especially with all the police brutality, and even now, another black man killed by the cops. Young man who had a kid, a 1-year-old kid. So I know a couple times it's really, really hit you hard, and I feel it too, but I could never feel it as much as you, and I could never understand what it is to be black, let alone a black man in this country. And I remember at one point you were feeling it like a lot. And I even reached out to some friends of mine, like, how can I support him? I don't know how to be there for him. But they helped me remember that you just need to know that I'm there, and you just need a little extra love and support to show, like, maybe do something special, go to a park or something. So yeah, that obviously I knew, that being married to a black man is going to be a lot different than if I were to be married to a white man. But I didn't realize I would really feel like lost as to how to help you. But that's another thing that you have to go through to learn, and that's what marriage is too.
Yeah, a lot of learning.
Yeah,
a whole lot of learning.
Yeah, and I worry so much more now. Like, my husband's black, my baby's black, and this country's so messed up.
True.
It's really scary.
Man, it definitely can be. But I think one thing that helps is, like you said, just being supportive, and also not being, too fearful that we don't go out and still live our lives, because that's one thing that can help keep us all pushing as minorities. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One thing that can help us keep on pushing is the fact that we know that our lives deserve to be lived, not to just be like, okay, well, I was born and I'm just sitting here because I'm scared to go outside, something bad might happen to me. But the more and more that we continue to live our lives, even through these tragedies, we're getting stronger and stronger, and we can also honor those whose lives were, cut short.
Yeah.
If we all, as minorities, decide, okay, well, there's racial hate going on in this world, I'm just going to stay inside. All the people who have been hurt by, the anger of inequality as far as race and hatred as far as race, those people, it seems, their stories go untold, or it seems like, if we don't keep on living our lives and being representations of our race, that's good. It would seem that those people who have done so much for us in the past to fight for us, even people who are victimized, their stories go untold. Yeah. So we got to keep on living and being an example of our race. You know what I'm saying? So I say that's one great way to do it, is to keep on, continue living. And when we tell Jada when she's old enough to really understand, she'll know. But we got to keep on and not being fearful, because that's what some people want. They want us to be intimidated to where we don't live our full lives as if we got to be scared to walk outside. Now we got to hold our heads high and keep on going. Yeah. So for me, something that's changed as far as being in an interracial marriage, I would say some of the things I'm eating is slightly different. It's slightly different. But I also used to be like a real close friend of the family with a Puerto Rican family. So some of it I guess I was kind of prepared for. They were very, very beautiful, nice people, man, and never made me feel any different, But however, I did notice differences. Like the food was different, and the way that they talked, the way that they danced, it was different. It wasn't really a Soul Train line like I was expecting, right?
Well, but one of the first like date things that we had, we were dancing some Latin music. I was like,
oh yeah,
he knows how to dance this stuff. Excuse the hell out of me. I was like,
Oh yeah, I was watching it, man. And also too, one thing that I feel helped is that my school was also a school in Bushwick. And it's a lot of like Latin people over there.
Yeah.
So I could be going to the store, hearing the music and things like that from shopping, We would have these different plays in school and performances in school where we would be doing some Latin dances in honor and respect of Latin culture. So I feel like I was kind of prepared in a lot of ways, or in that way anyway. But I just feel like it hasn't taken me so much to adjust, because I feel like, it's just been great.
Wow.
Yeah. Now I gotta ask you. We have this beautiful bundle of joy right here. From our interracial marriage, she was made.
Yes, that's right.
So now, how are we gonna deal with bringing up an interracial baby?
I mean, we've discussed this a little bit. You know, we definitely have to let her know she might be treated differently because of the way she looks. I don't think we had decided on when we might have that discussion with her, but...
Well, she's kind of going to hear it now.
Well, yeah, but she's also not...
Spoiler alert, Jada.
Not really speaking full English yet.
Spoiler alert like a mug, right?
It's just like a blank stare, like what? Like a mug, wow.
Like a mug, bar.
What thoughts do you have on, you know, how we're going to be raising her?
Well, you know, like you said, we spoke about this and now sharing it with the people, but, you know, I feel like we definitely got to make it known to her that she is all of the things that make her who she is, you know? Each and every side makes her who she is.
That's right.
And the more and more we can show her the greatness and who she is, the more empowerment she'll feel, I think.
Yeah.
And it's some things, she's contorting right now. It's some things to watch out for, but it's definitely best for her to know that she's mixed, you know, but for lack of a better term, but that everything within her makes her the beautiful person that she'll turn out to be.
Yeah.
So as long as we don't neglect to show her and tell her about her history and, you know, where she can go and how that connects to her and how also she can still be an individual even through all of that, I think she'll be just fine.
Yeah. And also, in case anyone's wondering, we plan on keeping her hair natural. We're not trying to straighten it out. We're going to keep the fro baby going. We might do little puffs. I actually always had a dream of having a baby with little puffs.
Wow.
So,
You just thought this all out.
I mean, honestly,
I'm
initially I was planning on adopting. So I definitely would have adopted a black baby. And I wanted to adopt a black baby, an Asian baby, and a Latin baby. So there you go. And I was going to teach them all about their different histories.
Yeah.
And we could all learn together. But anyway, now we're married and we have a baby that we could put little puffs in her hair.
Exactly. If she'll let us, because she be moving a lot.
But I don't know how to braid. So I'm either going to learn or I'm going to take her to her grandmother.
Hey, I don't know how to braid either.
Music. Like, growing up, okay, like we said, my father's white, my mother's Puerto Rican. So my mom was, like, totally, like, disco and, like, along with the Latin music. And my father was totally, like, rock, right? So that's a lot of what I listened to on top of, like, you know, regular stuff on the radio, on pop radio. But you definitely introduced me to a lot of, like, old school, like, soul and R&B stuff that I either heard of but didn't really listen much to, or some that I never even heard of. So yeah, that's been like a great way. That's one of the great things about, you know, being married, but also like being an interracial marriage. Like you really like have, like you get a really in-depth like window into a completely different upbringing, background, lifestyle, like, and that's not just with race. Like it could also be like the area you grew up in. Like you grew up in the city. I grew up in upstate New York, where it's like mostly grass and trees, and there's no public transportation in my town. Like you have to have a car to get where you're going. The closest deli is a 40-minute walk, and I didn't find that out till after I graduated high school. So
that's insane. Hiking.
Oh wow, I love hiking. That's definitely because I grew up upstate. I would not have been a hiker if I grew up in the city.
And I grew up in the city and was not a hiker. And not one of those kinds of people that leave out of the city to go hiking either. But I did it. And what was it? Breakneck
Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
When your mom heard that, wasn't she like, what?
When I told my mom I was going to be hiking a mountain, she started saying a prayer. And she said she was going to call my aunt Sent, who is an ordained elder.
Who married us.
My mom said, oh, I'm calling her too, so that way we could be praying for you up on that mountain. And then I remember we hiked the mountain, got back to your parents' house, and I called my mom to let her know I was yet alive. And she was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. So it's like, yeah, we don't do that, hiking, and we don't really know about it. I didn't really know what to expect.
Your shirt's inside out.
No!
Let's go back to being interracially married. I mean, an interracial couple.
What are we, right? Like, 1,
2,
3. You see, you're supposed to keep your finger here.
3, 4,
5.
No more hesitation.